Sure. That intro, that's 100 episodes strong now. That Rocky theme, the hugging of the cup, the pumping. That's a lot. That's a lot of getting your mind right at 7:55, and that's exactly what we're here to do. Good morning, Freddie at Bobcat.
Good morning, Dan. Is it 100 episodes already?
At least. I don't know what the exact number is. I know that we're over 100.
We need to figure it up.
Yeah, we need to figure it up. We need to put a list of all the fantastic people that have been on this program, all the people that have been in the comments, including Russ Hammond. Good morning, Russ Hammond.
Yesterday.
You saw him?
I did. The dude was washing windows out in front of the Red Wing store, just taking care of business.
Taking care of business. He wants it to look good.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that, Russ. Susmitha, good morning. Susmitha's here just about every morning. We appreciate the support. It's important to be around people that want to get their mind right, isn't it, Freddie?
Yes. And speaking of that, we do have a guest today. And has he in any way helped you get your mind right somehow?
Oh, we've got a scale breaker. We've got a scale breaker. So one of the things that I talk a lot about in personal development is we've all heard that acronym, F around and find out, right? Yeah. You take action, and we have an idea of where our own skills are. So maybe we've learned to play the guitar, learned to play a sport, whatever it is. And we feel pretty good about ourselves and we're getting better. But then, Freddie, we go somewhere, we meet someone, we do something. It's like, oh, wait a minute. That's how you play the guitar. Right? It can be a tough experience, but those are the ones that have the most growth. And the reason that we say this, I was in a situation, I told Freddie about it, I think way back when, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think so. So our speaker, our guest this morning is a speaker. He's a communication expert. He's the real deal Holyfield. And I was in a room with him, and he went before I went. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want Babe Ruth to hit a home run 425 feet.
I talked to you right after it happened.
What's that?
I talked to you right after it happened.
Oh yeah. And then Babe Ruth comes up to you and talk to you after it happened. But now here he is several years later, and he's with us on First Sip, and I couldn't be any more excited to welcome to the stage Jonathan R. Parker.
Hello, everybody.
Good morning. So,
that was a fun day.
It was a fun day. Do you remember? Do you remember the speech? Yeah. And I remember the speech that you gave on communication. It was fantastic. And you said as soon as Darian asked you to do it, it came to in your mind. Do you remember that?
So yeah, it dropped right on me. He told me what he was going to do. He asked me to speak, and it just hit, and the theme was off the quote, welcome to your stage, right? Your whole world's a stage, but we are mere players. So I think the most powerful point in that part was, because, I'm standing on stages, you stand on stages. But I think the most powerful part was for that audience when I had them stand up and I welcomed them to their stage, about being present, about getting their mind right, that wherever you are is your stage, right? You don't have to look for shiny lights. You don't have to look for the fog. If you are in a space, that is your stage, right? So it's an awesome opportunity.
Right off the bat, and there were so many things. And Freddie, you jump in here. I'm gonna get excited this morning. There were so many things in that speech that I told Freddie, I was like, man, you were hitting one after the other, and I was like, please, no more. You go ahead. You've done enough. You've done enough, please. But I think that it's so important to be around people that are doing things that are a little bit better. And I'm sure you've been on stages where the same things happen to you. I mean, right, where you're around folks and there's so much talent out there. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, early on. So the first time I ever gave a talk, I was in 6th grade, right? I was able to, I talked for 10 minutes. At the end of it, people clapped. I got paid $5. And I was like, okay, you're telling me I could do this for a living. And, since then, right, I just started growing. But yeah, those early days when you sign up for that first workshop, like you think, your guitar analogy is great. You're working on your speech. I remember one of my first workshops, one person showed up, right? Hundreds of people in this conference. I had all the prep. I had all the plans. I thought I was the best speaker there. I don't know why they overlooked me for the keynote. And then you find out who would register for your workshop. And this one lady came in and I said, all right, well, you signed up. I pushed my presentation to the side. I sat right across from her. I was like, why did you come to a conversation seminar or workshop? She was like, I'm having a hard time talking to my kids. And I was like, okay, I feel like I could be your kid. So let's just role play. And it was just that constant. But if you're never putting yourself in the position not to be the smartest person in the room, you'll never actually know how much more learning you need to do, right? So T.S. Eliot said, if you're not in over your head, how do you know how tall you really are? And I think there needs to be a moment where all of us every day get in a little over our head so we can realize, all right, I'm not Superman, right? All right, I got room to grow. All right, I need to hang out with people who can not only challenge me and push me, but let me know, hey, we're here. We've been there before. We've walked that path with you.
So Daniel, before you hopped on stage after him, had it already sank in that, my gosh, this guy just nailed it? And here I go.
Absolutely. So Jenny Winnie was with me and I was sitting there and and they had a microphone, which that was a little different too. Right. So, and the distance of the microphone, I learned so much that day, Jonathan, quite honestly.
So good.
It was like, I was watching Jonathan and he was all over the microphone and he was using it to make points and the voice and I got up there. I couldn't get far enough away from the microphone. I'm afraid if I say something, they're going to hear it,
Yeah.
And so, yes, the anxiety was there and I did the only thing that I could which was say what I was feeling. Wait a minute. He just, and sometimes that's the only thing to do, but I hate to it was such a big deal for me though, because that was one that I remember. I've been around Toastmasters and other things like that, but a presentation where you're getting the crowd involved and it was really fantastic. Any other things you want to embarrass me about, Fred? No,
well, it's funny that Jonathan mentioned sitting one-on-one with somebody in a workshop.
Yeah.
I know another guy who had set up a workshop type deal, planned for a bunch of people, and only 2 people showed up. And he said, well, you know what? I'm going to do my thing because those 2 people showed up. Yeah. And one of those people signed the largest contract at that time he had ever had.
Exactly.
There you go.
And this is where the, Gary Vaynerchuk, again, approach with caution, depending on how much language you like. But I remember one of the things that struck me, he's like, do you understand how amazing it is that with the billions of people in the world, that if you post something, you record something, you speak at something, and one person likes it, one person reshares it, do you know how much of an opportunity that is? What an honor it is that somebody out of all the billions of people they could have picked to listen to, like if he's like, that's a huge responsibility. And man, that clicked in my head where, I go all in no matter if there's 1,000 people in the room or that one, because what an honor that someone selected to spend their precious time with me.
Yeah.
That's another good one right there. Hey, Susmeet, there is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. I like that. I like that. We've all got a story. I'm going to play this quote of the day. We got to get into this.
Quote of the day. Quote of the day.
Quote of the day, Jonathan.
All right, quote of the day. It's an old one from good old Socrates. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice.
Oh, man.
Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice.
Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. I love that, actually. I'm going to let you comment on it because it's pretty, there's a lot going on there, but I like where it's going.
All right, you want me to start?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so think about it. Like if I took you to the doctor's office right now, and you're like, doctor, my head hurts. He's like, great, I got 12 pills over there. Pick which one. Let me know how it works, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. You'd be like, no. Don't you want to know like how long it hurts, where it hurts, like when it started? No. I got 12 pills. Just go take one. If that doesn't work, upsets your belly, just move on, right? We would be like, no, where am I? Give me a professional. You need to diagnose me before you prescribe something to me. Yet we do that in our lives all the time. Oh my goodness, Freddie told me I should read this book. I didn't do any inventory of my own life. I didn't diagnose if I need that book. I'm just going to read that book. Book didn't help me. Freddie doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, no, but you didn't do the diagnosis. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to go to the gym. And I heard bench pressing is really good. Yeah, but you haven't stretched in 10 months. Like maybe you should start there. Like prescription without diagnosis, malpractice. And I mean, in businesses, right? Again, I mean, the work I do, most of my clients tell me, like, I had a consultant walk in, they spent 5 minutes with me. They told me what I had to buy. They told me the program I had to run. They didn't know anything about me. It's like, yeah, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. You have to diagnose yourself. If your mind's not right, don't listen to what podcast I told you until you've diagnosed, right, yourself that that's the prescription that you need. If your mind's getting stuck, you got to do the diagnosis. Now, here's what's crazy, though. Self-diagnosis is great, but we all know what happens when you go to WebMD and you get freaked out. You're typically always wrong. So not only do you need to do the self-diagnosis, you need to find a trusted medical professional, a trusted friend to be like, hey, diagnose me. Where are my gaps? Where do I need help? Where do I need some prescription?
I love this. Absolutely. Fred, where does that take your mind? Anything about that jump out to you?
Just this week, we had a guy from Greenville over here helping our office out. And he got in his truck and he was about to leave and he stopped to talk to me. I was outside with a customer and I walked over there and I said, if you see something over the next few days that I'm doing or not doing that could elevate our customer experience, let me know. Because he's a new face to the scene. Let me know.
Yeah. Give me, and even this morning, you know, I work. We do a little workout group, Jonathan. I did this morning. I was next to Freddie because I know Freddie's going to push. I know he's going to call me out. He's not going to say just do the workouts just fine. You made it to the workout, that's fine. No, right. If you want to get all you can out of it, you're going to need a little extra. I got the 3 burpees in, Freddie. but I love that. It also made me think about, Jonathan, with AI. Sometimes we prescribe AI and before we need it, right? Or give it more than what it needs. We take the whole pill when we don't need everything in that medicine capsule. We need what works for us. Right. I love that. That can be applied in so many different ways. And that is a unique quote. So I love that. We need to get into this because I want to hear what you have to say.
Get ready. It's time for the 2-minute skill.
2 minutes.
All right, here we go.
What you want to talk about?
All right. So here's a question for you guys to kick it off, right? Everyone wants to increase performance, right? Freddie just said this, like, hey, if you see anything, right, let me know. So here's my question for you two, and then I promise to tell you the answer. What do you think Harvard Business Review said everyone should do to increase their performance by 23%? What do you think they said?
Become more self-aware.
Okay, become more self-aware. Good. Freddie?
Study more in your field.
Okay, study more in your field. Those make sense. Check this out. Harvard Business Review said if you want to increase your performance by 23%, you need to spend 15 minutes every day reflecting on your day. Think about that for a minute. Who of us would not want to increase our performance 23%? Right? What business owner, what company wouldn't? So what do we got to do? We got to start reflecting. We got to start reflecting on our day. Again, whole training here, but here we go. We're going to go fast. So how do you do it? It's from one of my favorite tools from Giants called Core. First, you're going to call it. Call it. What happened today? You're going to core it out. You're going to core out your day. Call it. What happened today? Right? And then you're going to own it. What was your role in it? Good or bad? Don't just reflect on the negative, reflect on the positive. Sometimes you crushed it. You need to talk about that. Own it. You're going to call it. You're going to own it. Then you're going to respond. What are you going to do because of this reflection? What are you going to do because of it? And then E, execute. How do you know it's going to get done? You got to set a timer. You got to set a calendar reminder. You got to text somebody. But if we spend, according to Harvard Business Review, not even like a touchy-feely like mindset meditation place. Harvard Business Review says if you want to increase your performance by 23%, you need to reflect on your day. How do you do it? Call it, own it, respond, execute, and always ask yourself, what was my learning opportunity today? And how do I implement that tomorrow for greater effectiveness?
If y'all didn't take a little nugget from one of these things today, there's a problem. You're not paying attention. That was fantastic. 23% just evaluating our day, something that we talk about and talked about yesterday, talk about it a lot. Energy management per day basis. We need to win our day. We need to have good energy throughout the day. So we start it, we run on to, we have a little pregame, we run out onto the field. It's kind of how we think about it. And now we're at 8:10. Hey, the game's over. What happened? What plays worked? What plays didn't? And what are we going to do tomorrow to change that? Fred, what did you think?
I think it's crucial because I will tell you, sometimes when I slow down long enough after my day, 4 or 5 minutes in the truck just to think about what happened, it helps me.
Mm-hmm.
I think about stuff that I may have looked over, forgot. I can make some notes. It's a big deal.
Jonathan, what about the owning it part? What's the toughest part of those? Call it what happened, owning it, responding, or executing. What's the hardest part for you, or you think in general?
Well, I think in general, the hardest part is owning it without blaming other people. Like Toby Stansel, my business partner, has a phrase for leaders: "Hey, it's my fault, blame me." Right? Like, "Hey, it's my fault, blame me." And this idea of when you own it, like, hey, if I'm leading a team and the team failed, I can yell at the linebackers. I can tell the offensive line, or I can just go like, "Hey, I didn't lead well. Hey, I didn't do it right. I didn't do what I had to do." And here's what's crazy: you can only pass on what you possess. And all of a sudden, when a leader steps up and goes, "Hey, I'm going to own my role in this. I'm going to go first. I'm going to own my role and I'm going to go first." All of a sudden, people are like, "Hey, boss, it wasn't all on you. Hey, Daniel, it wasn't all on you. Like, come on, I was out there too. I didn't do." So owning it is that crucial piece, right? Without complaining, without blaming. You'd be like, "Hey, I want to own it." But here's the key: execution. If it doesn't drive performance, if you don't set the calendar reminder, if you don't send that text, if you don't make that plan, if you don't prioritize to improve, man, it's going to be a good mental exercise, but it's not going to actually follow through all the way on that performance piece. So the owning, it's the hard part. The execution is the accountability part.
This is fantastic. 15 minutes of golden nuggets today. So grab one, apply it, execute it, review your day today. Jonathan, thank you for helping us get our minds right this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Fred, you've got to have a final thought. I don't know where he's going to go with this. What nugget are you going to give us?
The only thing I can say, call it, own it, respond, and execute, and go implement this stuff.
Let's roll. Have a good one, folks.